y'all, welcome to Criminally Creative, a channel about my various creative endeavors. Today is Monday, January 20th, 2025, and this is episode 76. I'm Susan. You can find me on Ravelry as Legal Eagle and on Instagram as Criminally Creative, the number 1. If you're new here, I appreciate you checking me out. If you like what you see, I hope you will like, subscribe, and do all the things. If you're returning, I really appreciate you coming back, and particularly for those of you, couple hundred people that tend to watch me, seem to watch me every time, I really do appreciate those of you who come every time I release a video, or most times I release a video. We'll move immediately into hearsay so that I can tell you I'm sorry about my voice. It may come and go a little bit. The only thing really of note over the last couple weeks, it's been just over 2 weeks since I last recorded. I was supposed to have gone to the Stitch and Thrift Retreat in Lexington, South Carolina this past weekend. Unfortunately, last week my husband picked up the stomach flu from somewhere, and by Thursday had given it to me. So in order to not spread it to my friends and everybody else attending the retreat, I had to stay home this weekend. I wouldn't have felt like going anyway. By Saturday, I probably would have been okay, but anyway. When the stomach flu is hitting you in both directions, your throat tends to get a little sore. That's as graphic as I'll get, but it was not pretty for a solid 24 hours. So, and my voice is still recovering. So, I do not want to go through that again. It was horrible. Anyway, I got distracted, but that's all for hearsay. I was sick for a couple of days. I slept probably in a total of 72 hours. I probably slept 50 of them. And for 2 days, I didn't eat anything except a half a sleeve of crackers. So, so that's all for hearsay. Nothing else really going on. Work is slowly ramping up for session. Today is Martin Luther King holiday and also Inauguration Day. So it is kind of my last, what I consider kind of the last day off after the holidays. It's the end of the year. Y'all get all these holidays, and then you get Martin Luther King Day in January, and then there's like nothing until like Good Friday. And so it always feels so long till the next holiday. Excuse me. So, I am home today and thought I would take advantage of the day to get a recording done now that I can actually talk again and, not get too far behind. So anyway, I think that's it. We'll move straight on into the stitching. Today's episode will be all cross stitch. I have done a little bit of knitting, but not really enough to really show, and that's about it. So, first up is verdicts, and I actually do have a verdict this time. Like I said, I didn't stitch at all for a couple of days, and then when I felt like stitching again Saturday, I just kind of went whole hog Saturday and Sunday and decided to get this finished. So this is, when I bought it, it was called the Mandalorian. It is now called the Foundling. It is by Forbidden Fiber Co. You can find it on her website. I know it's available as a kit. I don't know if it's available as just the pattern. This is on Forbidden Fiber Co. fabric in 36 count in the colorway Tumbleweed. I don't know if you're seeing, it's a very light pale green, which is not really, maybe back there you can see it a little, not showing a little bit better. And it is done with Forbidden Fiber Co. flosses. I really like the one that this is the way it's done. It was really variegated. The only modification I made to this pattern is that I moved Grogu about 11 stitches to the left. So he was centered a little bit more over the left half of the word, the Mandalorian. The way it is charted, he's a little closer to the Mandalorian, and I wanted it a little bit more centered over the word. So, my husband was really waiting for me to get this one finished. I'm not sure what we're going to do with it. I probably will find a frame that I can frame it in, you know, or it's going to go on the pile like everything else does and get finished months from now, maybe. So that is it for verdicts, and we'll move on to courts in session. And I actually have quite a few projects to show you, largely because it's been done most of my goal stitching for the month, and the temperature stitching adds several projects. So first up is Quinoa Books. This is in this bag by Lynn X Stitch Creates. This is the project that you will see every month this year because it is the full coverage project that I am trying to finish this year. I bought this as a kit. My kit says it's by Make It With Your Own Hands, or at least that's what I understand it translates to. I have seen other people say their kit is from Adriana something. I don't know if that's the same people. It's all in Russian. And quite honestly, I can't tell you where I got Make It With Your Own Hands from. Now that I'm looking at it, let me look and see. Present warmth of your hands is actually what mine says. So, anyway, I bought this as a kit. I am doing it with the kit fabric and the kit floss as called for. I'm doing the entire background. Most of it is 3 strands over 1, 14 count. I started this approximately the end of August 2016. As I've mentioned before, if I started this now, I might do it on different fabric. I don't know if I would stitch the background or not. We'll see. I'm not sure I like the background. So anyway, my goal this year is to finish this. Which means starting at the beginning of the year, I think I would need to average like 2,700 stitches a month or something. I started the year trying to get 3,000 stitches a month because I know there's going to be a couple of months at least through spring where have a harder time doing that. And in January, I actually got 4,000 stitches. So I'm a little bit ahead of the game, but I'm still going to try to do 3,000 in February so that I can stay ahead. So I have done 4,000 stitches. I have made it all the way to the left side. So it is finished to the left side. I have not done any back stitching. I am debating the back stitching, or at least some of the back stitching. I'm debating whether or not I'm going to put the words on the books. I have the words on the books are in Russian, but Handwork Maniac has a friend who speaks Russian who has translated the books into English, names of the books into English for her. And she has shared that translation with me, and I believe she's willing to share it with anybody who, emails her and asks her. But I kind of like it without. So there are a couple of places where it needs some backstitch for other reasons, not the names of the books, and I will probably do that backstitching, but I'm debating whether or not to do the names. What I can't decide, though, is like, for example, that end book that's blue with the gold, that's obviously where the name goes. To me, it doesn't look bad without a name there. What do y'all think? So let me know your thoughts. I'll have put up a picture of what it's supposed to look like when it's finished. And what I'll try to do here is put up a picture of it zoomed in a little bit more where the names go. Now it's going to show it in Russian, but obviously I would change it to English. So you can see what it's supposed to look like, and let me know what your thoughts are. So I did finish all the way to the left side, and I started a little bit over here to the right side just to get to around 4,000 stitches, because I am also using this for a focus piece in one of my games, and I get credit for every 1,000 stitches. So I wanted to get 1,000 to the full 1,000. That is currently at 60.2%. Next up is in this bag from Carrie Sews For You, which has no relation to what's in it. This is Anzac. I'm sorry. If you're new here, as I talk, I post a picture of what the pattern will look like when it's finished. And if I have one, I will post a picture of what it looked like the last time that I showed it to you, so you can see the progress that I've made. This is Anzac. This was my my long dog, my leap day start. Let's get some words out. Long dog leap day is a trend, not a trend, a hashtag, I guess, that some people started. I don't know who. So I started this on Leap Day 2024. The goal is to have it finished by Leap Day 2025, and I'm on track to do that. In order to do that, I have to do about 600 stitches a month. I did not get to this in December, so in January I needed to do at least 1,200, and I did 1,218 stitches. I am doing this mostly, it's all mostly in Silks for You. I'll show you the silks here in a minute, and I'll tell you the colors. So that is where I am. I did most of the work up here. I am doing this mostly in Silks for You PR 038, which is this variegated blue, charcoal, and green. However, I'm doing the tree and some things in this PR 136, which is just a variegated green. And then there's some areas with water that I'm going to be doing in Silks for You PR 123, which is just a brighter blue that's not exactly, but similar to the blue that's in the variegated. And then I have a Be Stitch Me golden color for one area that's like a sun that I'm gonna do. So as you can see, most of what's here now is in the PR 038, except I have started a little bit of the green on the tree. What I'm trying to decide now is there's some areas like over here where there's some back stitching that has to occur on top of this variegated, and I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do that in. I'm sorry, this is a big ring. I'm contemplating doing it in this bright blue because it's a little brighter than the blue that's in the variegated, so I think it would show up. That's the best idea I have so far, but I haven't 100% decided on that. So where the variegated is on, is just on, not where the variegated, where the back stitching is just on the fabric. I have been just doing it in the PRZ, the variegated thread. Like you can see in that gecko or whatever, there's back stitching there. I just did it in the variegated thread. Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, this is 40 count Lars fabric and the colorway Brain Fog. And like I said, I did 1,218 stitches, which puts me at 26.3%, which is right on target because I needed to be at 25% by the end of January to be on track to finish by Leap Day. I guess it depends on how you look at it, because technically this was the 12th month. I've worked on it since I started it in February 2024. But if the goal is to finish it by the end of February 2024, that's actually 1 month over the 4 years. So I guess technically I didn't have to be at 25% until the end of February, but you know, you get the point, hopefully. Next up was my second whip go call for January. This is in a brass button bag that has whales on it. This is Across Winter Lake, which is charted by Gecko Rouge, based on artwork by Joe Grundy. And it's a full coverage pattern. My goal for the month for this is 1,600 stitches. I'm not quite completed that. I have done 1,279 stitches so far this month. I started this December 7th of 2020. Hopefully you can see there's, you know, like right through here, there's a lot of like whites and creams and very, very light blues and very, very light tans. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm picking a color in here and carrying that thread out. But then I went ahead and came down here where there was a little bit more solid blocks of color just to break up that, because my eyes get tired doing this because it's all creams and whites on white fabric. It's really kind of hard to see sometimes. You can see I got a little bored, and I came over here, and these are like the shades of the deer that are standing on the edge of the lake. You know, so I'm just, I'll work a couple of threads here to do with color, and then I'll go down here and do one that's a little bit more blocky, so that I don't have to do quite as much counting, and it's a little easier on my eyes. I'm trying to get it close enough with the light that you can see. I mean, like, this whole section right here is filled in, but it's very, very hard to see without it all being done. You can probably, actually, let me, as you can see it a little better because up here, this is all done through here until obviously about right there. But obviously there's more blue and stuff up there. This is the snowbank on the side of the water, so it's just a lot more white. And like I said, it's a little hard on the eyes to figure out where the white stitches go on the white fabric when they're surrounded by more white and cream and light tan stitches. So I had to break it up a little bit. Like I said, I've done 1,279 stitches on that. My goal for the month is 1,600, so I've got a little over 300 more to do, and I'm currently at 6.9% on that. Next up is in this bag from Barefoot Needle Arts. This is Touching the Autumn Sky by Mirabilia, which was my New Year, New Start this year. I showed you this last time where I had started it. I'm doing it on 32 count Lugana from Atomic Ranch in Forget Me Not. Excuse me. And I put another 434 stitches on this to get it over 1,000, which is, excuse me, this year my goal for new starts is to do at least 1,000 stitches on them, unless they have less than 10,000 stitches total, in which case I need to do at least 10%. But in all cases, no less than 500 stitches. So I hope that makes sense. So I've been working more up here, trying to finish all these golds and browns and stuff and fill all that in. There's a lot of areas in here where I'm having to count down, so it's not always super fast. This is still in the Q-snap because I will work on this at least one more time this month. I try, when possible, to Zoom with Pam from Stitching in the Land of Good Enough, who is also the owner of Stitch New England, the shop in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. She does two Zooms a month, one for Hawran Hollow patterns and one for what she calls Fancy Folk. And the Fancy Folk Zoom is like the 4th Sunday of the month. So I've got that still on the Q-snap because I plan to work on that next Sunday in that Zoom, hopefully. So, and then it will probably get put away for a little while. I think I told you I did 434 stitches on that. Since you last saw it, I'm currently at 9.2%. I don't think I mentioned the percentage. Next up are the 5 patterns I'm doing for temperature stitching. Temperature stitching was, I believe, originated by Siska Stitches, and Jim the Caffeinated Crafter made a modification, and Jessie Marie Does Stuff has made a little further modification. I'm kind of doing the Jessie Marie version where I have one pattern for 2 numbers, so that I only have 5 projects I'm doing temperature stitching on. And so they get, the way I do it is I look at the forecast. Every Sunday I look at the forecast for the next 7 days, Monday through Sunday, because weeks in my head go Monday through Sunday. And the last digit of that forecast temperature, 01 is a project, 23 is a project, and based on what those last digits are determines how many stitches by 100 the project gets. So for every time that number comes up, the project gets 100 stitches. So I will show you what I've done since the last time. This is in another bag by Lynn X Stitch Creates. This is a Tasket by Rosewood Manor. I'm doing this on 36 count Be Stitch Me fabric and not another sampler. I started this on May 1st, 2022. I'm doing it with the called for floss, 2/1. 2/2. And I did another 471 stitches since you've last seen it. I got pretty much all the way across the top with the border motif, so I went down in there and did a little bit of that motif because I was just tired. The border's a little fiddly because there's a lot of color changes, which is why I have this little needle holder thing over here with needles threaded. So it's a lot of counting, either a lot of counting across the fabric or just switching your needle a lot. So, but I love the pattern, and I'm looking forward to eventually having the end result. So my temperature projects I work on until I've done at least, they're in my temperature rotation until I've done at least 2,000 stitches on them, and then they will rotate out. I didn't write down. I think that one's actually already at like 1,200 or something. But next up is in this bag from the Brass Button. This is Blue Ridge, which is a smaller full coverage. It was charted by CrossStitch.com, based on artwork by Derek McCrae. I'm not sure if I told you, but a Tasket Tasket is about at 29.9%. Sorry, backtracking there for a second. Anyway, this is charted by CrossStitch.com, based on artwork by Derek McCrae. Excuse me. I started this May 28th of 2022. Like I said, it's a smaller full coverage. That is the full width. I did another 437 stitches on this, and it is currently at 12%. And what I did was largely filling in here. So that one's just staying on the Q-snap because it's a smaller piece of fabric, so the Q-snap actually fits in the bag. Next up is in a bag that was made for me by my friend Michelle. This is Cardinal Points, which is a pattern designed by Log Dog Sampler for Gentle Arts. The Gentle Arts thread. And so it is designed in Gentle Arts threads. I'm doing it in all the called for on a 36 count white, just white from Zweigart. I started this March 8th, 2022. And since you last saw it, I've only done 111 new stitches on it. I had to do a little bit of frogging. So I got here and started doing this green vine so I'd have more vine to attach flowers and leaves to, and realized that this top black line, I had done one stitch too short here, which meant that this was one stitch closer to this, and so this whole width was going to be wrong. So let me fold it up closer so I can bring it in. I did some frogging, but I also fudged it a bit. So if you compare, and I don't think from a distance you can tell. I mean, you probably can if you really look. But this dragonfly is no longer centered the way this dragonfly is. Because instead of ripping all of this out, what I did was I took out like the row that was around the dragonfly. This is now one stitch shorter here, so that stitch doesn't have this around it. And then I extended one stitch out here, so this dragonfly is not. So I had to take this out, and I had to take around here out and add a little bit more here. But it was better in my mind than taking all this out. So that's not quite right now, but it works. So like I said, I did about 111 stitches. This really only got one. It's actually going to get this week, though. I just did my temperatures yesterday, and I haven't done the stitching. It's getting like 400 this week, so. And that's at 21.4%. Next up is in this bag that I got from Whip It Up, which I love. This is Sleepy Hollow from Glendon Place. I started this January 8th of 2022. Excuse me. I'm doing this on 28 count Picture This Plus Nocturne. I am doing this in the called for anchor floss. And this is where it is. I've done 208 stitches since you last saw it, and all of them have been on this moon up here, filling in that moon some. So it doesn't look too much different other than there's more moon above the horse chest. So, and that is currently at 38.1%. I'm trying to decide. Y'all let me know, because I noticed Jessie Marie said she wasn't showing her temperature stitching until she reached that 2,000 goal, and just would show what it looked like before she started using it as a temperature piece and what she looked like at the end. I'm realizing that, you know, if I do keep up with videos every 2 weeks, you're going to see the same 5 projects every 2 weeks, most of them, because sometimes they don't get stitches. And it's just going to be a couple hundred stitches each time. If you think I should wait longer, like maybe just wait till I get 1,000 stitches on it to show you or something like that, just let me know your thoughts if you want to see them every time, or do you think I should, the temperature stitching in particular that's getting regular a little bit, should I wait longer gaps to show you? This is in a brass button bag, Grinchmas on it. This is Winter White Santa from Memorabilia. And I'm doing this on 32 count X-Chew Designs Little Dove. I started this January 15th of 2022. This has gotten 312 stitches since you last saw it. Most of them are in this area. The reds right in there. Been filling those in. And it is currently at 17.5%. Okay, that is all of the temperature stitching. 2 other projects that I worked on. There were, I don't remember the exact number now, 23, 24 projects that I did not touch at all in 2024. That were projects, you know, obviously that were started prior to 2024. So I've created a little tiny decisions wheel so that when I'm kind of looking for a project to work on, I'll spin that wheel. And because I want to make sure that all those that did not get touched at all in 2024 get at least 500 stitches this year, if not more. But, so I created a tiny decisions wheel to kind of randomly choose which one of those to pull out. And I was feeling the urge last week, so I pulled out, spun the wheel, and what came up was Winter Quakers by Rosewood Manor. I started this in May 13th of 2023. And I am doing it with the called for Valdani floss, which is a 3-strand floss. I'm doing it on 28 count Picture This Plus Dwarf. I did 801 stitches on this, which puts it currently at 14.5%, sort of. This does have a lot of, you can see there's backstitched snowflakes. And so currently markup is not counting those back stitches. And then as I do them, I mark them up and mark up in a way that adds them to the total stitch count. So that 14.5% is not completely accurate, but it's as accurate as I can be right now. Oh, and this bag is from Lumi and Pie. I bought this at the Stitch New England Retreat in 2023. And then last up is in this bag from Sherry Sews For You. This is Halloween at Hawran Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. As I mentioned, I Zoom with Pam from Stitch New England and Stitching in the Land of Good Enough twice a month when I can. And the other Zoom that she does is for Hawran Hollow Patterns, and we had that on the second Sunday this month. And so this is the one that I worked on. Sorry, I'm trying to... It's a huge piece of fabric. So I'm trying to find where the stitching is. This is 40 count Fiber on a Whim the colorway Heather. I started this September 2nd of 2023. And I did 504 stitches working on that second block. Basically, I filled in a lot of that baby vomit green. And I'm currently at 8.1%. Although zooms are great times to fill in baby vomit green because that color is a color that I would quickly tire of working on if I was not chatting with people and stuff. So, and that is all for the stitching. Excuse me. On the docket, I still have a little over 300 more stitches I need to do on Across Winter Lake to finish my whip goals for the month. And I've got temperature stitching to do. I haven't done this week's. And then since I finished Mandalorian, I need to pull out another project to be my, like, one I want to finish this year to do 500 stitches a week on. And I have a wheel for that. Also, I kind of put the projects that I'm thinking are possibles to finish this year, I put on a wheel. And so I spun that. And next up for that is going to be October's Party. I think that's about Little House Needleworks. Yes, Little House Needleworks. And I only have to do, that's a relatively small pattern. There's only like 3,200 stitches left on that. So, that, you know, of course, if I only do 500 a week, that's, what is that, a little over 6 weeks. But probably like Mandalorian, as it gets a little bit closer to being done, I will get more stitches in on it. I'm also thinking, and this is sort of on the docket, but it's more like long-term on the docket. This is a thought that occurred to me, and just wanted to throw it out there as a possible. We'll see if it happens. So I will be 57 this year. My birthday's not till October, but which dawned on me, it was something I saw online, dawned on me that, you know, in 2028, which is the year I plan right now tentatively to retire, I will be 60. And I think I was watching Erin, Two Martini Stitchers, and she's turning 50 this year, so she's doing 50 starts. Last year, she went down to less than 50 projects, so she could do 50 starts this year. So I am thinking about doing that, but with 60. I currently have, since I finished Mandalorian, I currently have 93 projects. I'm thinking about between now and my 60th birthday, trying to whip down to less than, at least 60 or less projects. I have some big projects. I have 25 what I call BAPs right now. And several, I think 12 or 13 full coverages, some of which are not as big as others, but so I'm contemplating, and not with any set plan of I got to finish so many starts. There's no way I can say no new starts because that's ridiculous. So I'm contemplating trying to get down to 60 or less projects by my 60th birthday so that the year after I turn 60, so from October of 28 through 29, I can start 60 projects. We'll see. I'm also thinking that I'm going to I'm not setting a hard and fast rule. I was watching Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, and she said that this year she's limiting her new starts to patterns that are, I think she said 125 by 125, or I think she said no more than 250 when you add up height and width. I think that's the number she used. Something similar to that. I'm thinking the number I use for what I categorize as medium projects are projects that when you add up the two sides and divide by 2 are no more than 150. So that would be adding height and width is no more than 300 basically. I'm thinking about trying to keep most of my starts this year to medium or smaller projects. We'll see. Because I have a lot of large and what I call large and what I call BAPs. That's the bulk of my projects. And most of what I'm aiming to finish this year are in that medium-ish, maybe small, large category. So, I don't know. We'll see. Those are just thoughts percolating in my head that I thought I would share with you. So, calendar, the only thing I have planned is the Barefoot Needle Arts Beach Retreat is February 7th through 9th. I do plan to be there. Hopefully, illness staying away. Hopefully, I've had my illness for the winter. We'll see. And that just leaves stashing for retirement. So, I will, first of all, let me show you. I did buy a few digital patterns. I'll show you those first, and then I'll show you a few physical things I have. Carolyn Manning got me again. Somebody, I guess, had asked her about a pattern that was not on her website, and she put it up. It said it was for a limited time, and I'd never seen it before, and it's very I thought it was unique to a lot of different from a lot of her patterns, and I thought, I don't know if I want to start that now, but I want to have it. So, so of course went to buy that, and then bought some other stuff too. So I got the pattern she put up that she said was for a short time. I have not looked to see if it's still there. She's created a new section of her website that's like maybe leaving soon. It has a date at the top of it. And I think what's up there now is through the end of February. So you might want to check that out if you've been looking at Carolyn Manning patterns. Excuse me, and are worried that one might go away. So the one that she posted about that I went and got is called A Little Crazy. I'll put a picture of it here, and it's really kind of like a patchwork quilt looking like thing. And so I got that. And then in the, probably going to be leaving the website section, she had another one that I had looked at several times called Plum Glass. So I went ahead and got that one. But then also, because I'm there. And I think if I remember correctly, she has like a discount for if you spend a certain amount of money. So I had to get to that amount of money. I don't remember how much it is. And I bought 2 patterns that I've been seeing other people work on that, I've admired and didn't have. So Jessie Marie Does Stuff has been working on her sweater weather, which I'll put a picture of here. And, she's been working a lot on that, and I love it. So I finally caved and bought that. And then Tracy from OG Stitchery started, I can't remember if this was one of her, I think it was one, she did multiple New Year, New Starts. And this was one of them. And the colors just really popped at me when I saw the picture of what little she'd done and went and looked at the pattern. So I bought, I got to look at put my glasses on to read what it on, Flamboyance of Flamingos, which is one of the ones that there's the bigger one and the 4 smaller ones. So at some point I've only got one Carolyn Manning started, my September Sapphires, and I love all of them and would start a ton of them, except don't need to start a bunch of products just to start them. So, but I think the next Carolyn Manning I may start one of the smaller ones, because several of the patterns that I bought have the bigger one and the 4 smaller ones. Anyway, so those are the digital patterns that I bought. And then a few other things that I got. I got my Oak Crown for January. I have suspended this subscription. I love Oak Crown fabrics. I have too much fabric right now, and I'm not starting things as much. So sadly, this is when I have suspended. But I had already, I was paying a month ahead. So I still got January. I get 32 count Lagana, and the colorway this time was Glacier. And I love this. This is completely and totally up my wheelhouse. I have a thought what this might be used for, but I haven't decided yet. So we will see. So I got that. I had placed an order right after Christmas for the Plum Street pattern Comfort and Joy, which is currently only available from Country Sampler. And I believe only available as a kit. And I received that. And it came with fabric and floss. So I bought that, or that came in. I had placed another order with them like 2 days later for some other Plum Street patterns. That still hasn't shipped. And I'm not sure whether to be concerned that because I placed the 2 orders so close together that they somehow shipped this one and accidentally marked both of them as completed or not. So I'm gonna wait until it's been at least a month. You know, it may be, I don't think it's the first time I've ever ordered from them, but all I've ever ordered from them before is some of these kits. So, I don't know what a standard order, how long it usually takes. I think I'm gonna wait another week or so, and if I don't hear from them, I think I placed it on the 28th of December. I'm gonna wait till at least the 28th of January before I email them, just to check on the order. I'm in no rush for it. I just want to make sure that it wasn't overlooked somehow because I had the 2 orders placed so close together. And then I ordered a bag from Quinoa Stitches. This was the one she released just this past Friday. She shipped very quickly. Friday a week ago. So not this past Friday, but the Friday before that, sorry. But she did ship very quickly. She called this a Valentine's bag, and yeah, it's Valentine-esque, but I don't really do, Valentine's is just not a holiday I celebrate, but I liked the very light blues and the reds. I'm not usually a red person, but for some reason I really liked that, so. And then, I wanted to show you these. My husband, his Christmas present was a 3D printer. And of course he's making all the things. So, he's made me some floss drops. And we had, I was going to see if I could find the other prototypes, because I threw them in here. Now they're buried with, this is one of them. This was one, I mean, he hasn't learned how to, like, create his own, they're not called patterns, but whatever you call them. He's create his own patterns yet. So he's just using what he can find, like, free on the internet. And this was one we tried, but I like it fine. It's just a little bigger than I wanted. And there's another one in here somewhere that I liked the shape of, but I didn't, the hole size was not as big as I wanted. And I don't see it, so it's in here somewhere. But anyway, so this is the one that we found that I like the best so far. So he's just printing me a few at his time as he has time and stuff. And so it's got, you know, the bigger hole for the skein and a little hole for the strand you've used, and a hole that's big enough to go on the ring binder. And I tested it, and you can write on it with a Sharpie, and it will come off with like an alcohol wipe. So, I've got a Ziploc bag of those. I just haven't started any projects since he made them for me, so I haven't used them yet. But I wanted to show those to you. And then something that I have subscribed to for a long time, and I don't usually show you when it comes in, but I thought I would show it because I got my spring 2025 edition. This is Peacework Magazine. This is, and obviously it has a cross-stitch pattern on the front this time, but it's not just cross-stitch. Nancy, the Disorderly Stitcher, you would probably like this, because what I love about it, and one of the reasons it's the only magazine I still subscribe to in hard copy, is it's all about history stuff. So, like this issue is about Regency needlework, and it has a lot of Jane Austen stuff. So, like, it's got, I mean, this one is Celebrate Jane Austen. It's got little kind of like needlepoint slippers, and it has a pattern for those. It only has a few patterns in it, but it has so much history about like needlework and embroidery. These are some pictures from the, this one has an article about stuff, Jane Austen's needlework of her and her mother and sisters. And then it also does some knitting and and then it'll usually have a pattern that's done by a modern designer based on kind of the historical stuff you've been reading about. Like this time it has these Dear Elizabeth fingerless mitts. This has something about the Jane, this is the Jane, what's called the Jane Austen Coverlet, which is a patchwork quilt that her and her sisters and maybe mother did. I have a kit for this that was done a few years ago. I think it was Riley Blake or somebody like that did a kit where they created fabrics and all that for this. it's a gorgeous kit. It comes with all the fabric. It came with the diamond square ruler that you need to do, because they did it. The quilt was originally done as English paper piecing. The quilt kit that I have is done with, you know, ruler cutting, and I don't think it's English paper piecing. Honestly, I have not pulled it all out. It is a quilt that is way above my skill level. But I love it so much. I bought the kit, because I figured either one day I would have the skills, or one day I would pay somebody to make it for me. And like this has a pattern for a Regency shawl. So anyway, this whole article is about like Regency England, and it also has, a pattern for the biscornu that's on front. It has that pattern, and, you know, including instructions how to put it together. Has this article about, they have the series Voices from Our Community, and this time it's about I think she's Ukrainian. I don't think she's Ukrainian. I think she's, I can't remember, but who's a bob and lace maker. And she did a collar for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So anyway, I love it. I just love the history of it. And I just got actually, I think it came last week sometime, and it was one of those days that Rob and I were both sick, and I'm not sure how the mail got in the house, and I found it laying on the coffee table, and I was like, oh, when did this get here? So, anyway, if you like history and you like the history of needle arts and, you know, any kind of needle arts, because like I said, there's not even always something cross stitch in there if you're just a cross stitcher, but it's usually got some kind of knitting. It often has some kind of embroidery or cross stitch, some quilting. It's a variety of stuff, but it's all kind of needle art type stuff. Piecework. It's all piecework is what it is. And I have subscribed for several years, and I read them when they get here, and I keep them all, because they're the type of thing that it's one of those types of magazines that I have a hard time letting go of. So anyway, that is it for Stashing for Retirement. I think that is it for the entire episode. I think I've rambled enough. As always, if you like what you see, I appreciate if you like, subscribe. If you have any questions, if I did not mention something about one of my cross-stitch projects, there's a link to a Google spreadsheet below that should have the information. But if it doesn't, feel free to ask me a question in a comment, or send me an email at crimleycreative1@gmail.com, or you can message me on Instagram at crimleycreative1. Excuse me. I have created a Blue Sky account, and there I'm just Crimley Creative, because the 1 made it too long. I haven't really used it yet, but you're welcome to follow me over there. And I think that's it. So I hope that everyone is doing well. I hope that you are staying well and not getting the nasty stomach flu that I had, or any other kind of sickness or illness. It is supposed to be really, really cold here the next 2 days. For North Carolina, extremely cold. And they're even calling for maybe a little snow. They keep wavering. Last week they were saying we were getting snow. Now they're saying we might get a little snow, but I don't know. Who knows if we're getting snow or not. Now they're saying the beach is getting snow, but maybe we're not. I don't know. I would love one good snow this year. A lot of my Facebook memories are popping up about this time, like in 2018, we had a good snow. I would love, but also about this time in 2020, we were getting on a cruise, which is the one we came off of with COVID. So, you know, we had a great time on the cruise. Didn't have a great time with COVID after that. Anyway, so I would love a good snow, but we'll see. Cold, I hope if it's cold where you are, that you are staying warm. And if you're in the other hemisphere and it's hot, that you're staying cool. And I'll stop rambling now. That's it. I hope y'all have a great couple weeks, and I will see you around early February. Talk to you later. Bye, y'all.